Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. Again, going for Saturdays. I'm not entirely sure when we're doing the one for next week. It might actually might be doing those the days following Christmas. We'll figure that one out. But yeah, anyway. So let's get started. We don't have as large a haul as we had a few weeks ago, about the same size as last week's. So, to get things off, we've got Excalibur Number 26. The last issue of the series. We'll get into that later. So, where we left off, the forces of Merlin, led by King Arthur, had taken the Starlight Citadel and were moving towards taking Avalon. However, they had been shifted they had been slightly shifted so that Avalon itself had been somewhat protected from them, but yeah. However, Saturnine and Captain Britain had been banished elsewhere. And Captain Britain asked Saturnine just how it is she came to be in charge, how it came to pass that she was on Universal Majestrix. So the issue opens. Merlin basically in what is referred to as the former Starlight Citadel. It seems to reflect the look of it seems to reflect whoever it is that occupies it. But they pass on orders to his forces, namely King Arthur. In Avalon, Saturnine and Captain Britain return, and Saturnine tells a tale of how it is she took the Citadel. It was during the incursions in the lead up to the most recent Secret Wars. They had it, but a map maker had ended up there in her realm, and so she took its powers. She took it and headed to what is now Blightspoke. She talked some with Roma, who was at the time on Universal Majestrix, and Merlin, and it was fairly clear that Roma was on Universal Majestrix, but really just a puppet of her father. So she removed the power source from the map maker, which was all that survived of it, and used it to kill Merlin and Roma. But her and Roma had an understanding, since both of them being ambitious women, and so new realms were made for both. Just the way they'd want them. So, yeah. And so Saturnine took over the Starlight Citadel. Back on Earth, the British military is surrounding Braddock Island by air mainly, not sea yet, and with the intention of destroying the lighthouse, as it seems to be emanating strange energies. But Excalibur comes through, explains what's going on, and what they have to do. So they go back, and they get ready for the battle. And the battle is met. But turns out that Merlin is planning something alongside through Morgan Le Fay and Kabanakaba to destroy the lighthouse. The Captain Britain Corps is holding ground in Avalon, and apparently the plan is to trap Excalibur in the castle so that they can't, and destroy the gate so that they can't leave. But of course, because of Betsy's sword, they're able to, which has basically the only magic in Otherworld not touched by Merlin at the moment. We also get the remarks of Ruben Rousseau to Parliament on Braddock Isle, as well as there was a war journal entry from one of the elves in service to King Arthur. But after Excalibur returns to Earth, Captain Britain goes back through to lead the charge, and that is where the series ends. In April, Excalibur will not be returning. However, Knights of X will be starting anew. Well, starting up. This appears to be part of their Destiny, the upcoming Destiny of X push, which will be starting up in the spring, I believe. In fact, from the looks of it, all of the current X books are ending this month. Hellions ended. Excalibur, so we'll see. Or at least maybe not all, but at least most. So yeah. Anyway, that's solid. It's a good issue. I kind of hate there was a finale, but it's one of those things where the story will continue. I just hate where I have to wait 4 months for it to continue. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got X-Force number 26, which is also the final issue for this run of X-Force. It will be back in, I believe, April. Yeah, April. So it is, from all reports, it's going to have the same format as previously, Mutant CIA. So yeah. But where we left off here, a group of surfers that Wolverine presumed were mutants had stolen babies from the Krakoan Bowery, or Bower, not the Bowery, the Bower. So the issue begins with them swimming to a sub with the babies, including one who has an active mutation with sonic powers. And that one managed to destroy its containment pod. So yeah. On Krakoa, X-Force is investigating with Tom explaining that, with Sage and Black Tom explaining that there's a smart plankton skirt ringing the island, and if it's plant life, it's anything, as Tom puts it, everything veg is tied into Black Tom's garden of a hard drive. So they get in it. Some of it stuck to the surfers, and so they've got a trail. But apparently Quentin is considering getting rid of things, and maybe a new, maybe he could have his memories of Sophie, expunged from his backup when he gets resurrected. Wolverine tries to give him some advice, and yeah, but Quentin, Domino, and Wolverine take the Bluebird. It's a sub that looks like the X-Men's Blackbird to track down where the surfers went. They find a submersible and one of the surfers apparently dead. And Quentin notes that one of the female surfer of the group, apparently Wolverine liked her, and according to Quentin, feels betrayed. We get an autopsy report on the dead surfer. The main thing mentioned is that they are lab-built organisms with biocharacteristics common to Xeno soldiers, featuring adaptations and enhancement that they have not observed yet. Lungs and gills, and abundant cartilage, thin bones, and swim bladders equivalent to fish. Hence why they were able to breach the island by a dead mutant cove. A highlighted anomaly is that their adrenal glands are 3 times the standard size for their body type. Further investigation reveals that this results in not only massive bursts of energy, but addictive behavior. Subject needs to surge, or they will theoretically feel numb to any sensory experience. A productive, destructive trait to install on a subject you're asking to risk everything for your cause. But Quentin returns the two babies that X-Force is able to recover to the Bower, and has a talk with Jean, who that her and Logan have fought quite a bit. Sometimes Logan comes back around. Sometimes she comes back around. So, but she also states that the thing he's feeling about not being whole without her. He explains that Phoebe feels the same with her sister, with her sisters, and neither way is it healthy. It's codependence. And she does remind him that Wolverine will always be there for him. So, but Wolverine goes to the volcano in Alaska, which is where the surface that they want to check out. It had an upcoming eruption, so that's where they're going to be. Wolverine goes after her, trying to, but he loses his board, and Quentin saves him. But as the volcano erupts, the surfer swims into the eruption. And the issue ends with the revelation that Zeno has the baby, which has been fitted with a power dampening collar. We also get a note concerning what's going on with Colossus. So I was kind of... The Colossus story arc ended rather abruptly with, right before Colossus, was nominated to join the Quiet Council. The note states, presumably this is from the writer, Pyotr has done the impossible. He has made himself small. Whereas before, he was the one to hoist a wagon over his head, to smash a fist through a tank, to hurl a body through the air. He is now notable for his quiet stillness. When he talks, he seems not to make a sound. When the council asks his opinion, he offers a reasonable answer in a calm voice. When he gestures, he does so slowly, like the patient movement of a tree bending its limbs gradually toward the sun. Surely he is not capable of great violence. He who listens, who watches, who waits, a sleeping giant. And that is where the issue and the series ends for now. Solid issue. I like that they're setting up that things with the story that they were working on with Colossus is not yet resolved. And to be fair, there's a lot with that running arc that remains unresolved, such as getting the Cerebro sword back from Mikhail and Zeno. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Wastelanders Wolverine, #1. It's a one-shot. So this takes place in the Marvel Wastelands reality, which was kind of kicked off with the Old Man Logan story arc way back in the mid late 2000s. But it's become a favorite, and Old Man Logan, after Secret Wars, kind of migrated to the main Marvel universe before being sent back to his reality to die, because, well, he was dying. But this story actually takes place shortly after the original Old Man Logan story, which ended with Wolverine slaughtering the Hulk gang, and taking the recently born infant son of Hulk, in the hopes of raising him properly. But so they've been riding through the wastelands. No food. They run out of food, run out of water, and little baby Bruce is crying. We get a recap of Old Man Logan. Mysterio managed to convince, basically cast illusions, create illusions which made Wolverine think he was killing off the various supervillains, when in fact he was slaughtering the X-Men. He met a woman, got married, raised a family, and then the Hulk gang killed them. And then so Wolverine killed them back, and then killed Bruce Banner in this as well. But eventually, Bruce is crying because baby Bruce is crying because he's hungry, and eventually tries himself out though. And some gang members show up, Ghost Riders. They got the flaming bikes, but they don't appear to have any and chains. They got jackets with spikes, but they don't appear to actually have any actual power. But Wolverine quickly makes short work of them, with Bruce actually stopping to eat one of them, but trying to eat part of one of them, but Logan stops him. The next day they try to town, and so Logan figures, maybe he can barter for food and water. But when he arrives, the town's smashed up, and what appears to be a giant Iron Man armor attacks. So Wolverine leaps at it, and turns out the armor's adamantium. So he fights this armor monstrosity and manages to at least get into the joints and then the rivets, which apparently aren't a solid weld. And it turns out that the armor is connected to Bruce Banner's severed head. But it's explained that Tinkerer made the armor, and then Hulk ate the Tinkerer, and it's powered by gamma radiation. So the angrier Hulk gets, the stronger the armor gets. But the fight wakes up the sleeping baby Bruce, who manages to attack and basically tells our Iron Hulk to leave his daddy alone, and Logan picks the kid up, and first Logan buries the head of Bruce alive, and he continues his journey with baby Bruce, and that is where the issue ends. Marvel has done a lot in re-exploring and adding to the mythos of this. There's actually a series of podcasts coming out with there's an Old Man Logan one. There's going to be an Old Man Hawkeye, an Old Man Quill, and an old woman Natasha, or old woman Widow, whatever. There's a Black Widow one, which that one's supposed to be a bit weird, as Old Man Hawkeye kind of stated that she was dead. But that wouldn't be the first time. So, but these one shots which will be coming out, they're basically it's to build hype for the podcasts. I know that the Old Man Hawkeye one apparently both Stephen Lang and the voicing Hawkeye, so that's cool. But yeah, solid. Honestly, that's. The direct aftermath of Old Man Logan is probably part of one of the big parts of Old Man Logan's story. I'd want to know, because I was out from comics for so long, and by the time I got back in, hey, Old Man Logan's back to being is running around in the regular Marvel universe. Okay. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Savage Avengers number 27. So where we left off here. In the Savage Land, Kulan Gath was facing, all of the Savage Avengers, with the exception of Punisher. And Magic had stabbed him with a dagger given to her by Doctor Strange. And he's pulled the dagger out, and he's laughing. Like, you really think that would do me in? Seriously? But he begins to notice he coughs up some blood, and his wound, it's not healing. And Doctor Strange reveals that he made a deal with Shuma-Gorath. He would kill Shuma-Gorath with that dagger, getting his blood on it, and then he would stab. Kulan Gath would then be able to be reborn through the body of Shumagorth will be able to be reborn to the body of Kulan Gath. Which is, and as this is, he tries to escape, but Conan cuts off his hand. He gets zapped with the Widow's Bite, as well as stabbed by the ebony blade. And Shumagorath is then eventually fully reborn, and it turns out that the deal was that Shumagorath is reborn through Kulan Gath, and Kulan Gath leaves Earth alone. And and they're just kind of and Shumagorath's kind of yeah, but what if I said no? I am gonna come after her. Well, he's gonna face the Savage Avengers. But Shumagorath's like, yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna spend a very long time digesting my most recent meal. And as Shumagorath goes into a portal, he tells Kulan Gath that Goth's end will be exquisite. Doom holds a banquet for the Savage Avengers at Doomstadt, and it turns out Kang and Dr. Doom are plotting, basically go back in time and kill Kulan Gath before he can rise to power. But Kang takes Conan with him. As Conan says, he will do what must be done. Shumagorath as a child was sold to a slaver who taught him the ways of magic. But Conan kills the sorcerer with an assist from Kang. And tells Kulan Gath that magic is foul, corrupting. It will enslave him just like the wizard would. Then he hands Kulan Gath his sword and says, steel you can trust. And he'll teach, basically he's going to teach young Kulan Gath the way of steel, the way of the sword. Much to Kang's chagrin. And that is where the issue ends. Not the series, though. Not the series. Which brings us to our last book for the moment. Hulk, #2. Where we left off, Bruce Banner had turned the Hulk into a spaceship of sorts, and had used it to access Project Ark of Tony Stark's, which allowed him to go into the space between realities. Turns out the ship is powered by the Hulk's anger, and Banner can control just how angry the Hulk gets by forcing him to fight whoever or whatever. So, after going through Project Ark, the Hulk ended up in the arterial dimensional between space, which is a forbidden zone for mortals, and faced with the alternate universe timeline hazard operations response and intervention team. It's the Authority. The acronym is spelled Authority. It's a riff on the Authority. They got the carrier. It's Apollo that he's talking to. Midnighter's there, engineer, and looks like a modified version of Swift. But Hulk just flies. When I say through, I mean through them, and ends up hitting their carrier, which flying through their carrier as well. But Bruce is dozed off. But this kind of wakes him up a little, but then something grabs him and is pulling him into a dimensional rift. So Bruce amps the power level to 2, which means In the engine room, the Hulk must fight monsters. Fin Fang Foom and practically every other giant monster that Marvel's ever utilized. Ripping through them like nobody's business. But it's not enough, so he needs more power. And so, Stage 3. Giant-sized Wolverine. And, yeah. Hulk rips out one of his claws and uses it to stab him in the heart. But things are going wrong with the hull is compromised, and something's going wrong with the ship. And and Hulk gets sucked through the portal, but it seems as though maybe Hulk can escape. But he ends up somewhere else. The shadowy figure is shocked to have caught one, finally. The shadowy figure is then revealed to be none other than Dr. Bruce Banner. A much older Dr. Bruce Banner. Well, at least maybe not much older, but an older, and one-eyed, I might add, Bruce Banner. And that is where the issue ends. To which I gotta say, damn you, Donny Cates, for making me, enjoy reading Hulk. Never really was a big Hulk fan. I figured I'd give Donny Cates' run a shot, and, well, he intrigued me right off the bat, so gets to run for the long haul. Which, okay, that's fine. I mean, honestly, that's fine. I'm not really complaining. Good read's a good read, right? Anyway, that was a good read. I love that basically there's just like all these, it's not just like, random stuff. It's like, okay, Stage 2, monsters. Stage 3, giant-sized Wolverine. It was Wolverine, classic, like, first appearance Wolverine. But yeah, at least costume-wise. Claws were more how they generally have been done in comics. In more recent, since Wolverine joined the X-Men, basically. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.